Welcome back to Comic Wars and to the Season 2 finale. Think of the show as Fight Night, but without the mess of actual combat. The data will speak for itself before the outcome, but in case it doesn't, we will break all of it down in the outcome at the end of the show. Tonight, there won't be a preview as we did last season. For next season, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm actually going to be putting up polls all over the place, so make sure you guys are following on social media. You guys will be able to participate in the polls. There will be one at the very, kind of during the comments section. It'll be... I'll post it in the comments section, in the description, and you guys just put it in the comments section. We'll go from there, but yeah, it's going to be a lot more kind of voter combatant type combinations. The ones where we see the most votes, or rather the most call outs, this is one we want, this is, then we're going to go and post that. But more at the end of the show. So without further ado, let's get into the overview. So as usual, if we had a guest, right now is where we would go and have those guest intros, kind of talk a little bit to them about what they do, why they're on the show essentially, and the reasons behind it, and of course get their guess. Who do they think wins and why? And this is also a great time for you guys enjoying this at home or watching from wherever. Go ahead and throw it in the chat. Let's go and find out, who do you guys think wins and why? Love to hear it. After that, then we get into the background details. This is where we start breaking the characters down. This is more or less personality, height, and weight, and occupation is usually the big things here. Personality's actually been kind of a huge factor this season. If you guys haven't seen the previous episodes, you guys will see the cards at the end. Definitely check out the rest of the season. Go check out season 1. You'll see what I mean. Personalities do play a factor in quite a few of these fights. Because when a character is bloodlusted, what do you need to know? Just because they're bloodlusted doesn't mean they don't think. Batman's a prepper. Superman's not. This is basically how this all runs down. So, who wins and why, right? And this can play a key factor as to how they handle the actual combat itself. And of course, their height and weight, so you get reach and things like that. And occupation, of course, this could go into kind of experience, depending on what they are. And especially as this season has been more centered around villains and kind of evil characters. There's a lot more going on with them more often than there would be with hero-type characters. So, after that, then we get into the feats. This is where we start breaking down the meat and potatoes of everything. This is going to be where we look at their strength, their durability, the speed and agility, their martial prowess, so how effective they are in combat, like what kind of martial arts they use. Then we check out their ingenuity. So what do they do? If you're a prepper, this is where this comes into play. What kind of prepping you do, things like that. And it just kind of goes into their battle ingenuity. What are they capable of in combat? How do they think, right? It goes more than personality, of course. So, and then after that, then we get into their weapons, gadgets, and powers. And everything is weighed out based on what kind of damage they can do. As this is also, as I announced 2 episodes back, and then fully confirmed it last episode, data analysis is fully linked up with feats. Character pros and cons is also getting linked in with this as well. So really it's just going background details, feats, and then so on. But the data analysis is basically where we start analyzing the math, the science, what these things mean and why. If the data is saying this is how much PSI is needed, or how much PSI they put out on a certain punch or kick or whatever, and then another character's got one that's based on joules or newtons. We go and get the common ground for it, and so we break it down so it's a simple thing, so you can go see straight across the board. This guy's using PSI. Okay, what kind of newtons, what kind of force is going to be behind this? So that way we can link it up. Does it compare? That's basically how that way we can get that kind of common denominator. We can go and look at that. After that, then we get into the character pros and cons, of course, which is this is where we start looking at their strengths and weaknesses against themselves and each other in combat. What kind of pros and cons are they going to have? So, like, for instance, with one of our previous combatants, we had the Joker. He's nihilistic. That goes into the play with his personality. So now we're going to see the kind of cons from that. Why is the nihilism actually going to hurt him? Partially. So after that, then we get into the guest analysis. This is also a great time for you guys. If you guys want to go and change your guess, anything like this, feel free. This is also time for the guests to do the same. But basically, this is where we go and take a look at everything. Do the guests agree, and why? Do they disagree? Like I said, this is all about conversation, and this also comes to you guys as well. So in the chat, feel free. Let us know. What do you guys think? Does this character win? Does this character win? Why? Maybe you don't agree with some of the math. All right, well, let's talk about it. All right, and then after that, we get into the outcome, and if there was a preview, we get into that as well. But the outcome is where we essentially break things down. If it's a straight across fight, we don't break down scenarios. If it's a little harder to explain who wins and why, and there's certain outcomes, like for instance, you have characters that we've had to use multiple versions of them in a fight. This is where scenarios break in. Or you have a character where they can't fight in the sunlight, for instance, like if they're a vampire, right? How do they... We're not talking Twilight vampires here. We're talking like, non-daywalkers. So if they were to go, if they fight in the daytime, now they're kind of limited to where they can fight at and how hard they can fight, because if they start chipping away at things that, say, for instance, it opens a hole and sunlight gets in, kind of thing. So, there's certain scenarios we have to go and look at sometimes. So, but, all right, that is what we got for that. So let's get right into our first combatant. Our first one has made his way from Haddonfield, Illinois. It's Michael Myers. He's the creation of John Carpenter. His real name is Michael Audrey Myers. And we're looking at the version from David Gordon Green's timeline. This is the Halloween, the original Halloween, the 2018 Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. This Michael is much older than the rest of his iterations. He's 65 years old. He's 5 foot 10 inches tall, and he weighs approximately 165 pounds. Well, as for his occupation, he's just exactly that. He's straightforward. He's a serial killer, operating out of Haddonfield, Illinois. As for his personality, well, he's emotionless. He's extremely intelligent and incredibly devious. And just a little tidbit, once again, this is the smallest of the different iterations of Myers. When it comes down to his strength, well, he's a low-tier superhuman level. Single-handedly, he was able to unearth and move Judith Myers' tombstone, which could weigh anywhere between 100 and 1,000 pounds. You look at the size of it, it's probably closer to 1,000, but we're probably going to be more in the ballpark, about 700 or 800 pounds. And he effortlessly snapped Cameron's neck, which takes it between 1,000 and 1,250 pounds of force. So it's quite a bit, and he just snapped it with one arm, just slammed it down real quick. So his strength, his downward strike is actually, it's pretty strong. As for his durability, well, he wears clothing, so there's no armor here, but he has an extreme level of pain tolerance bordering on immunity. The guy just tanks and tanks and tanks. Bullet wounds, stabbings, beatings, slashes, all sorts. This guy just tanks it all, doesn't care. He's also survived being shot at close range in the back, tanked getting 3 of his fingers getting blown off, and actually I need to correct that. It's actually 2 fingers. It was his ring finger, and it was on his left hand, so it'd be his ring finger and his pinky were blown off. He just completely tanked being stabbed several times in the stomach by Allison. Tanked being shot, beaten, and stabbed by multiple attackers. Not to mention, he tanked being stabbed multiple times also by Laurie Strode, who is by far the most beastly final girl we've ever really seen. Laurie is a total beast. So, this is my recommendation. I'd check out the new Halloween movies. They're pretty good. So, but he's also tanked being shot, beaten, and stabbed by multiple attackers. He's also got a resistance to extreme heat, as we get to see in Halloween Kills. As for speed and agility, well, we know he's at least Olympic athlete levels. And the reason we know this is because there's a whole lot of off-screen things. Michael catches up to things just so quick. It's almost supernatural how quick he moves. He doesn't have the ability to teleport, but he does have the capability of booking it off-screen, as I'd like to put it. He's also been capable of, well, he quickly and easily disarmed Allison of her shotgun before she could even react. It's kind of a big feat, except for the fact that she's not like fully. She doesn't have any training. She just kind of threw herself in there, and she was able to fight him off a bit. But she's kind of like a final roll away. As for some combat capabilities, well, we can argue his weapon mastery it's pretty spot on. He perfectly parried firefighters, including redirecting a saw into one of them, and swiftly took out an entire mob after they knocked him down. And he does this a lot with his knife, his kitchen knife, as you can see in the image above. He's pretty quick about it too. He just parry, stab, parry, slash, parry, stab, parry, slash. You know, I mean, that's all this guy does. Or, I'm going to catch this and stab, 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 slash. You know, things like this. I mean, the guy's quick. You know, especially as he's an older guy. I mean, this says a lot. And this isn't the guy that just you see getting all this extra exercise and all this. So, pretty good. As for his ingenuity, well, he plans very, 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 very far ahead. And he stalks his opponents to study them, and this is almost always undetected. And we're talking, this guy gets in real close sometimes, too, without committing to his urge to strike them down. He'll go and watch them real up close, and then right when they try to turn around to see him, he's gone. So, he's pretty incredible when it comes to his stalking capabilities. As for his weapons, he comes equipped with his kitchen knife and his powers. Now, I want to emphasize this, and this is official now. I'm emphasizing his healing factor here. It's an interesting one because it's kind of an empowerment. His healing and his empowerment go hand in hand. The more kills and instilling, or the more fear he has in the surrounding area of him, specifically, the more kills he's got, they're even believed to be from him. It's just from that fear. The more he recovers, and the stronger he becomes. So, we are going to look at a scenario here tonight, and we'll see. We'll see how much that alters the capability. Like the outcome tonight. Okay, because this is an interesting one because we've analyzed this every single time, and sometimes it's just ridiculous how much more of a win he gets. And there's other times where it's just like, okay, well, it doesn't really make it doesn't really make too much of a difference here. So, as we get to see with previous iterations, there were certain Michaels that they couldn't cut it. You know, given scenarios that totally just make them advantageous, or the same thing with Jason's made them advantageous, and sometimes they don't happen, you know. But as for his weaknesses, well, you pull his mask off and he will stop attacking until it's back on. So his mask is a giant weakness to some degree. So him getting hit hard enough, for instance, or if it's grabbed by claws or chains or whatever else, and it's thrown off, he will do everything he can to get to the mask, because the mask is his life. So. Alright, so let's move on to his opponent. It's Spawn, who is actually a creation of Todd MacFarlane, who also created Venom, so you'll notice similarities here on the face mask. His real name is Al Simmons. He's 40 years old. He's 6 foot 11 inches tall, and he weighs approximately 450 pounds. As for his occupation, he's a vigilante / anti-hero / Hellspawn. And his area of operation is New York City, New York. As for his personality, he's cold, brooding, intelligent, cunning, and pessimistic. Just a little tidbit about him. Well, Spawn has crossed over to several different universes, including DC Universe, Invincible, and Wildcats. As for his strength capabilities, well, he's easily superhuman level. He's capable of lifting and throwing a large chunk of a building, which is at least 60,000 pounds, easily punches through solid concrete and steel. That's quite the feat right there. His durability, well, he's capable of withstanding a fall from at least 30,000 feet, surviving an electrical blast of at least 600,000 volts, can walk through lava and hellfire, which is hotter than the surface of the sun, allegedly. Tanks blows, or he's been capable of tanking blows from Savage Dragon, who's capable of lifting 340 tons, which, just to break it down, that's 680,000 pounds. He's also got an extreme pain tolerance, not bordering on immunity, just extreme pain tolerance. He does feel pain. He can survive unfazed without his organs. As for speed and agility, he easily dodges point-blank gunfire, broke the sound barrier mid-combat, which is approximately 770 miles per hour. His maximum movement speed, which is only seen in short bursts, is 1/10 the speed of light, which is roughly about 670,600,000 miles per hour. Guy's quick. Very, very quick. As for his martial prowess, this guy is no joke. He's mastered judo, jiu-jitsu, karate, kung fu, jeet kune do, aikido, taekwondo, boxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, hapkido, muay thai, ninjutsu, which isn't actually a martial art, and American karate. As for his ingenuity, well, he relies pretty heavily on his suit for recovery, defense, and offense, and this is throughout all iterations of Spawn and all comics. He does rely quite a bit on his suit. But he's also incredibly cunning. So he will do whatever it takes to win, hence why he's an anti-hero, because he will go and kill if that's going to be the easier route, instead of trying to go and make it so the guy gets arrested. He's also a master planner, so this guy plans as far ahead as he can. You'll see where this comes into play with the next screen, which is his powers. He's got the ability of chain manipulation, reality warping, power nullification, black hole creation, darkness manipulation, time stop capabilities, intangibility, telepathic empathetic manipulation, explosion manipulation, poison manipulation, enhanced senses, so he senses at an accelerated rate, and to a very, very accelerated degree, superhuman strength, superhuman speed, necro energy. This is essentially, he's got so much before, it's kind of like a battery. Once he runs out of his necro energy, he's sent back to hell. And then he's got to go and kind of rejuvenate for a bit before he can come back. He's also got the capable of precognition. Like I said, this goes hand in hand with his master planning. He's capable of shapeshifting, healing, and resurrection capabilities, so you can't keep him down very long. He can also teleport. He's capable of creating illusions, conjuring demons. He's got no resistance to time manipulation, and he has the ability of complete regeneration, literally coming back from like dust and atoms, essentially. This guy can just come back from nothing, basically. But the guy also brings weapons to his fights. He was former like special forces / assassin. The guy's a total beast. Well, the weapons he comes with are his Walther MPK, his Beretta 92FS Inox, his Mossberg M500 bullpup shotgun, Steyr AUG, the M60, which is essentially, you know, those big old mounted machine guns they have on helicopters, the ones that soldiers will fire. Yeah, this is what he carries around with him. He's also got a two-sided axe, or double-sided axes they're sometimes called. His suit is called the K7 Letha. He's also got his cape and his chains. Once again, going back to his chain manipulation and relying heavily on his suit. So who do you guys think wins and why? We're not even going to label down, we don't even have to go over the pros and cons in this, but we're going to. We'll do it real quick. So, when you're looking at, for instance, background, is Michael going to be a hindrance towards himself? Not really. He's a little shorter. Now, we're looking at height over here on Spawn. Spawn is quite a bit taller, so this is going to definitely be right off the bat. That's going to be a disadvantage. When it comes down to Michael's strength, he's strong. And so is, that's going to also be a huge feat for Spawn as well. Now, Spawn, we got to go back over his personality real quick. He's pessimistic. This is going to be a hindrance because he's just like, what's the point, you know? And unless something is a huge threat to him, his family, especially his daughter, or people he cares about, he's generally just kind of like, I got to do this. Okay, I'll do what I got to do. You know, he's very pessimistic. He's like, but he's very tragic. Is why he's so pessimistic. Had everything he could ever want in life, and then it was all ripped away from him. And now he has to watch his former best friend, who married his wife, and is raising his daughter. He has to let that happen. He has no choice in the matter. It sucks. Very, very tragic. Especially because he was betrayed by his employer. He thought he was doing a great job, and his employer just took him out. It's really sad. But now he's alleyway anti-hero over in New York City. Then we got durability. Their tanking capabilities are they're tanky. They're very tanky. They're all about tanking that damage. Spawn, like I said before, is very, very reliant on his suit. Well, Michael is just about tanking that. He's just bulky boy. And then you got speed and agility. Well, Michael's quick off screen, so if they're not being watched or whatever, yeah, Michael goes real quick. Other than that, he's not super quick. Well, you got a teleporter / can move at 1/10 the speed of light. It's pretty crazy. Let's see what else. Then you got martial prowess. They both got their skill sets. Michael is not a trained fighter. That's the big thing here. He's not a trained fighter. He can fight, but he's not a trained fighter. When it comes to ingenuity, they're both planners. So this can go in either favor on this one, kind of. They're gonna be a fun match to cover when it comes to that. Their planning capabilities are interesting. You know what else they're bringing to combat? Their powers and all this. I mean, Michael can continually get stronger and stronger and stronger. We don't even know the limit he's got, what the capability is. We don't know what the top tier is. With Spawn, I mean, he's just ridiculous. He just summoned black holes. I mean, who does that? Why didn't he use that against Batman? That's my question here, but that's besides the point. And their weapons, well, you got one with one weapon, another one with multiples. So what do you guys think? Who wins and why? Well, let's just break it down. End of the day, this is actually a hands down no contest. Spawn completely beats him in every single category, and he doesn't just beat him, he demolishes him. Comes to personality, that's the only one where it's just like, okay, he has a little hindrance, but it's not too big of a hindrance. Michael plans ahead. He's very, very devious and cunning and very, very intelligent, but he doesn't have military skills. He doesn't have the tactics that Spawn does. Spawn's going to be prepared for this guy. Not to mention, you look at his achievements, who he's beaten. He's taking guys on that are just like Michael. They're serial killers, but they're more dangerous to some degree. And he's also taken on the Violator, who he's easily more dangerous than Michael. So, and he beats him consistently. So, when it comes down to this, is actually a very unfair fight. I actually was not anticipating this fight for this to actually be the finale here. I was actually anticipating something a little bit different. I was almost thinking Moon Knight was going to be able to make it to the finals. And that was after I started looking at, really doing the research on the characters. That's who I was like, oh man, that's who I'm thinking. I think Moon Knight's going to make it. But my guy, he didn't make it too far. He made it past, Rorschach and Freddy, but he wasn't able to take Michael. And Michael was able to go and beat Jason's, and could beat, he beat other guys like Ghostface, easily beat them. But yeah, like I said, when it comes down to it, it's